It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and now it's time for my favorite part of the show, in which I guess what's in Tim's background today. I'm going to say you're in the House chambers. You're right there sitting on what's his name? Gerald Natkin. I forgot his name. You're sitting on his lap right now, and feeding him lines to attack Jonathan Turley, who said that there is it's kind of a complex deal, and no proof of impeachment yet, but certainly something that would warrant an inquiry. Am I right about that?
No,
Gerald Nadler is his name, I believe.
Oh, the guy, the zipper,
the fat guy.
Yeah, with a zipper. He's got a zipper the length of a sleeping bag.
Sure, the Democrat version of Chris Christie. Am I correct?
The Penguin.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, what have we got here? Yes, sitting in front of the
sweeping up here.
Yeah, this is the debate from last night, and well, let me get into that this way. There was, I believe, the latest evidence is that the $250,000 went to Joe Biden's Delaware residence for Hunter. There's a picture of Nadler right there. Which, of course, means there's no evidence that Joe Biden had anything to do with it. But, you know, if it looks like a duck and it talks like a duck, then perhaps it's, as Chris Christie said, Donald Duck in the line of the debate last night. I got to tell you a little background about that debate. I wasn't going to watch it. They make me nervous. I'm always afraid these guys are going to trip over their tongues. My wife wanted to watch because she confessed that she hasn't really been paying attention. She wanted to learn something. So, of course, what happened was she lost interest after about 20 minutes, and I was stuck slack-jawed watching these people argue over each other. I mean, we've got closed caption, and, you know, the closed caption like blew up on the screen because they were just yelling at each other a lot. But I got to tell you, normally I don't have my own opinions on what happens at these debates. I wait, you know, for the other esteemed people to explain things. Like, I believe Catholics want the priest to explain the Bible, right? You're not supposed to read it directly.
We can now. Oh,
now.
But, there was a time when you weren't supposed to look at any of the red words in the Bible.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, it's so I'm taking my own impressions of this, but I got to tell you, everybody sounded good to me. They all articulated their positions. They were under the deadlines. You got 30 seconds to give a dissertation. And of course they go over, and then, you know, they always break the rules and answer the question that they wanted to answer.
They don't have to do that. They could do it like the Academy Awards, where they play them off and shut off the mic. I mean, come on.
They were threatened, you know, at some point. And I got to tell you,
I mean, let's be honest. Fox News likes when they talk over each other. They like when people go over time. They like that chaos. Well,
I mean, it's some theatrics. I mean, sure. You know, I mean, the whole thing, it doesn't even matter because Trump
pro wrestling
30 or 40 points. But
you know, it's kind of like a swim meet. It's kind of like a girl swim meet that Leah Thomas is participating in, isn't it? Right. They're all fighting for second place.
Yeah, and it's just. They all made good points, and I thought they were all good, a lot better than I could ever be. And but then you read some of the Twitter comments, you know, like Molly Hemingway, you know, it's criticizing Nikki Haley, and of course we know that she's criticizing her because Nikki Haley wears, you know, probably like a size 5 dress, and Molly's in about a 16. So you know, I'm sorry, I'm being catty there. A
friend of mine said that everyone always said, she said the trope is that if women ran the world, there would never be wars. It's like, come on. Women would go to wars over shoes. Could you believe the shoes she wore? Bomb them now.
No. And a woman would go to war just to prove that she's a man. And, you know, that's why I'm voting for Leah Thomas, because she's already a man. But so Chris Christie delivers this line, and obviously it was prepared. I mean, he looked right at the camera, and he basically wanted to drag Trump into this. And here's the thing: he goes and he calls him Donald Duck. stupid me, it took me about 5 seconds to get the joke that Trump was ducking the debate.
Right.
Oh, okay. Thank you. But anyway, he delivered it fine. Obviously, it was canned and it was hokey. But they're politicians. So, you're not paying $12 a drink on New Year's Eve for them. This is what they do. But what did you think of the debate? Did you watch it?
Well, I think actually, if you look at him, Christie probably resembles Donald Duck a lot more. It's between the shape and the temperament. You put a sailor's jacket and a funny little hat on him.
Yeah, that's true. He probably waddles around like him. But did you watch it at all? Did you watch the debate?
No, didn't watch it.
Okay.
Didn't watch a minute.
Okay, all right.
It's like I said. It's Leah Thomas in a swim meet.
Right, and so you kind of suckered me there because you've got the background of the debate. Makes it almost sound like, well, I went. You don't have to really don't ask me any questions about it. I mean, it's like these politicians too. They have like a 30-second answer for everything, but I'm sure beyond that, they wouldn't be able to explain the policy all that much. But they're really good for the 30 seconds. Meantime.
Well, I'm looking forward to the Newsom DeSantis debate. Coming up. That's
get us. I heard Newsom was criticizing DeSantis for even debating him since he's not even a candidate. So there's already the gloves are off over something that doesn't even matter. But I kind of like the idea. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Miss Governor's Award show, isn't it?
But I think that's actually good. I'd like to see an exchange of ideas there. But I mean, all that they were making. Apparently, DeSantis has this grimace that he has, or all the little ticks. It goes back to Nixon not wearing makeup in 1960. We're so superficial.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all we care about is a look. Every president's got to be over 6 feet tall and a woman now, and it's just. And it's a bunch of garbage. So
I always liked Ted Cruz, but the thing is, Ted Cruz will never be president. He there's just something about the way he looks that just kind of sets people off. And
the Eddie Munster look.
Yeah.
Expect Yvonne DiCarlo to be walking in as his wife. Yeah, I get it.
And I kind of think that DeSantis has the same issue. He's
his wife is pretty.
So his wife could give Melania a run for her money.
Yeah, no, really. I mean, she's well, actually more than a run for her money because she's not vapid. She's actually got a brain. So
no.
Oh, I'm really being catty today.
Yeah, but DeSantis, he doesn't look presidential. He looks what he reminds me of is that Dukakis picture that with the headphones, with the Pif helmet. Yeah, sticking his head out of the tank, looking like Snoopy.
Which reminds me of a joke, a Playboy party joke from many years ago. The Norse god. Let's see if I remember this. The Norse god awakens from a night of ribaldry or ribaldry, however you pronounce it. And he announces to the nymph who he is. He says, "I'm Thor." And she says, "You're Thor. I'm so Thor I can hardly piff." So anyway, that's a Playboy party joke from 1966. Okay, which I obviously
it aged so well.
Well, because Thor is eternal. So there's a WAPO poll that has Trump leading Biden 52-42, and I'm thinking, probably because there haven't been any indictments in the last couple of weeks. I mean,
come on. Lead. If there were more indictments, it'd be a 20-point lead.
Right.
Every indictment moves them up a little more. Yeah, I guarantee that the decision out of the New York court that's gonna another 5 points for that.
Right. It's hard to believe, but it's true now.
No, imprisoning dissidents always generates more support.
Sure. Nelson Mandela would win by acclamation right now in the United States.
Exactly.
So Joe Biden apparently is using a short set of stairs right now to get onto Air Force One.
That's been for a while. I think that was actually my background one.
Okay.
And it puzzled you. You did not know why I had those short stairs behind me.
Right. Okay.
It's the short stairs is not news. What's news is look at those sneakers.
He looks like Fetterman right now. I mean, is that the kind of dressing that? By the way, Fetterman on the day that we're taping this actually showed up in the Senate in a suit.
Oh, wow.
You know me, I was against the dress code. I was on Fetterman's side on this because I want to do anything to diminish the stature of these. I mean, short of an insurrection and tearing the place down. I mean, make up your minds, guys. I mean, what you want here. But
I don't think they thought there was going to be that big of a pushback on it. I think when Schumer came up with that idea, they had no idea that people are going to be. You're kidding, right? You're changing the dress code for one slob who doesn't want to tie his tie.
Right. So Biden is wearing sneakers. What, for better traction? I imagine. Yeah, it's kind of slippery that way for an old man. Sure. Why don't they just throw in all the cards and give him an escalator? Why can't they do that?
I think that's next. They're going to pull the big van up in front of the stairs so you can't see, and he's going to come down in one of those little easy glider or whatever you call it, stair things, where you strap yourself in and come down the railing of the stairs.
It'd be kind of neat if he could just like Samantha's aunt in Bewitched, just slide down the banister that way. I mean, he should try that. I mean,
don't they have a mouth on that plane? Like a ramp that comes down. Couldn't they just drive him in, put him on a take the limo, and just drop that mouth and just drive him straight in? So
yeah, I guess it's all optics. So they want to make him look like he's at least negotiating one simple flight of stairs. All right. When we come back, speaking of guys who don't belong in the Senate, how about Senator Menendez? I love the guy's chutzpah. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez and his wife indicted by a federal grand jury. The senator is accused of using his office to help several businessmen from New Jersey, as well as the Egyptian government, in exchange for receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in gifts, including cash, a luxury vehicle, even gold bars.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and refresh my recollection because Alex, I'm taking Senate corruption for 1,000 here. Menendez has been in trouble before, and he didn't get knocked out, right? I mean,
yeah, it was a hung jury. And it's which happens a lot in New Jersey, if you know what I mean. All you need to do is find one that's got a little bit of financial trouble.
Right. So he was pressing his luck here, and the Democrats are calling for him to resign. Gold bars, and it apparently went on his computer. It had him searching gold bars. No.
In his defense, I've gone on the computer and searched for a kilo of gold. Not because I have even seen one. It's just you will see that sort of thing happen on like Breaking Bad or something like that. And I'm always curious. Okay, how much is a kilo of gold really worth? So I have done that search. My favorite line though is Matt Gaetz. Did you hear what he said?
What did he say?
He said, the economy is so bad that senators need to be paid off in gold.
Yeah.
That's how bad inflation is that senators won't even take cash anymore.
Right. It's almost like Menendez was watching Fox News and saw William Devane describing, how you should take everything in presidential plates or whatever Devane was selling for all those years.
You ever got to hold a gold brick, Bruce? You ever got to hold it like an ingot?
No. How heavy are they?
I imagine they're heavy. A friend of mine has a silver ingot, and I got to hold that for a while. It's heavy, and I looked it up, and gold is twice as heavy.
Oh, okay.
And it's soft. So I would love to just play with a gold bar for a while.
What would you like to do with a gold bar?
I'd like to do that thing where you bite it with your incisor and make an impression to check the purity of it. That
Yeah,
sounds
that
like
would be
fun.
that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, no, my only experience with gold bars is the wonderful scene in Goldfinger when they're applying nerve gas to everybody, or what looks like nerve gas to get everybody asleep at Fort Knox,
Sure. It's
and
dry ice.
the whole thing right. The whole thing was centered on that, but
I'd like to see
other
that
than that, I
remade
haven't
where they
really
where they,
thought
where they
about
go
gold
into
bars.
where they go into Fort Knox and they find out it's empty. It's like they go to, I think that'd be
Right,
a real,
we don't
that'd be
have
a
anything.
real, like, yeah, it's like, what, you think we're still holding gold? No, we're just printing paper.
No, right. No. And there's like a cell there that says Social Security Trust Fund, and that's just got cobwebs in it, and there's nothing there either.
Stack of little notes written on cocktail napkins say, I owe you $1 trillion.
So they this is when I which shouldn't be news to anybody who listens to this podcast. I have no more than a tweet's worth of information on, but because I can only follow so many Trump alleged scandals. So this one, they were trying to revoke his business license in New York, and then they hit it. The Mar-a-Lago property was considered by a judge to be worth only $20 million when it really should be worth about 15 or 20 times that amount. Do tell, Tim.
Huh. That's all they said that the Mar-a-Lago is worth? That's all the judge said it was worth?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You could not buy a condo in West Palm for $20 million, much less an entire resort and country club. That's just fishy. It's I believe that they pushed that out because to cover up for the address, the Hunter Biden using his dad's address.
See,
that came out the same day.
I mean, this is where your tinfoil hat comes on. I get the effect, but
you don't think they're pushing out indictments to cover news stories?
I think they have it in for Trump so bad that, and of course they always wind up going way too far, and they get Trump is basically a reaction to Democrat activity for so long. As Rich Lowry, in National Review said, he was the only middle finger available. Yeah. What inspires people like me to vote for Trump? It's sheer hate of the overreaction by the Democrats. It's certainly not love of Trump. So yeah, the more they overreact, the more people dig in. There wasn't a poll on,
and I have to ask you. I'm sorry. I have to ask you because I have to appeal to your legal education.
Yeah.
Is that common for a judge just to say, no, we don't need a trial here. Just get the rope, get the rope, string them up. We don't need no trial. We don't need no stinking trial.
It may go back to the Star Chamber, and I'm not sure.
Well, it's a civil suit. I know that it is a civil suit, it wasn't a criminal suit, which is why they're recommending that the DOJ pursue criminal charges. But it's just
right. But you don't have to have a jury. I don't think so.
Do both sides have to agree to not have a jury?
I think the defense can. It depends on the jurisdiction. So that's how I'm going to get out of that. I don't know what it's like in New York. Please don't. I just got my legal license renewed here, and I want to be tested.
I'm sorry, I'm part of the Illinois bar. I cannot.
Thanks.
I am not. I am legally bound to stay within the comments on the laws on Illinois law.
Stop hazing me here, okay? So there was a poll on the economy, and of course, this is one of those things where I just wrote down economy poll, and I was hoping that Chris would trot it out right here because it had some startling data if we can see it, but I don't think Chris has it right.
But the majority of Americans think that Biden does not do well on the economy. Wasn't it like 70%? 70% of Americans would rather see someone else running the economy.
Right, but don't believe your lying grocery bill. So yeah, that's the problem. And I mean, that with his senility. Well, let's see. A new poll shows that voters trust Republicans to handle the economy more than Democrats by the widest margin in more than 3 decades. That's an NBC poll. I mean, that's NBC. That's a liberal network. And 49% said Republicans handle it better, while just 28% think Democrats are better. And this is the largest lead for Republicans since the question was asked in the survey starting in 1991. So you would think that would redound to the benefit of the Republican Party and Donald Trump, but we'll have a way of screwing it up. I know that we've been doing it. So
that's only 70. That's only 77%. So 23% think it's Republicans, but don't want to say it out loud.
Probably. Speaking of not wanting to say things out loud or skewed polls, this is one of the. I love this one. GOP voters think that Trump is more a man of faith than Mitt Romney is. I mean, did they think that Trump was like saying 3 Hail Marys before he raped that woman? I mean, where do you get the idea?
No, they think that Mormonism is a cult. That's what.
There we go. I mean, I understand that. Totally get that.
They think it's cult created by grizzled old men who wanna marry a bunch of 12-year-olds.
It was certainly a bunch of sister wives. I get it. But it's but boy,
and doesn't Romney kind of have that smarmy televangelist look to him, kind of?
Well, and we know, of course, that when he worked for Bain, all he wanted to do was, take food off the plates of the working class. So yeah,
that's Bain. That's Bain Capital, not the super villain from Batman.
It may be one or the other. It doesn't matter. They're fungible. But yeah, among Republicans, 35% felt that Romney was the more faith oriented, and 53% felt Trump was. And Ben Domenech, a political commentator, who was not any, as I recall, any kind of never Trumper or anything, said when he read that, words have no meaning now. Because how could you believe that? It's just kind of crazy.
Well, I can understand how people believe it. It's the number of people that believe it is a little. Maybe it's just what they said about that 52 to 42. It's just an outlier, Bruce. That's all. It just, that poll was just an outlier.
If everything's an outlier, an outlier here, an outlier there, and pretty soon you got a consensus in the American public. It's just kind of crazy. All right. Did you see where Governor Abbott, love that guy, he's trying to lure the Chicago Mercantile Exchange to come to Texas?
Sure.
And I was thinking, how about this? Perfect trade, mutually beneficial. He sends busloads of migrants to Chicago where they could be housed where the Mercantile Exchange was, and the Mercantile Exchange goes to Texas. It's what both sides want, right?
And you're not deadheading the buses either.
No. I think it's a win-win for both cities. Our own Mayor Johnson just give me, you're tired, you're poor, you're illegal. We got plenty of money, even though we're broke. And why not house them instead of those tents? Why not right at the Merc? I'm guessing they think
he's thinking that you put a Venezuelan in a tent in Chicago winter, they'll go home. It's like what he's thinking. What were we thinking? What were we thinking? Ahead.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Which Chicagoans say that when people talk about Chicago. When people say stuff about Chicago who don't live in Chicago, what do we say, Chicago?
I don't understand. What? Wait, everybody shut up. Who's one person that knew? What? No.
Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Well, it's good to know that Mayor Johnson can assure some podcaster, it's probably about 12, that everything is okay, and that you can STFU if you don't like Chicago. Does that stand for State of the Union? Do I have that? No, I have got that acronym wrong. Or
state of a very specific union.
Yeah. I mean, I still can't get over the fact that I think, was it in his inaugural that Mayor Johnson tried to draw a false equivalence of the cop who was murdered with Adam Toledo, which was tragic.
Sure.
That
He
it's
said the sorrow, the sorrow those tears are made of is the same.
Yeah, right. It's
Sure.
and then it's nobody's ever at fault for anything, and that's why you got to justify everybody invading Philadelphia stores and taking the new iPhones away, which I just look at that as instant reparations. And
are those phones any good though?
Yeah, I was wondering about that myself.
I have when I buy a phone, it takes me a lot of work to get it online.
I'm just assuming there's some sort of black market where they can get it out, and they're just like the middlemen there. They're not tech whizzes. Their job is in procurement. It's like the guys
But then every phone has an IP address solid into the firmware that you can't. That's what I thought, and that every
there's got to be a way to maybe they just did it for the fun of it. Maybe they just wanted to deprive the wealthy of their. I mean, what do you need an iPhone 15 for anyway? I mean, seriously. I mean, I still got a rotary phone. No, I don't. I love, and I only have like an 11, and it's Spinal Tap worthy as far as I'm concerned. Way better than the 10. What do you need a 50? What does a 15 give you? I mean, Cecil B. DeMille CinemaScope.
It gives you all I've heard is that it has a USB jack, a USB-C jack. It no longer has the Thunderbolt. That's all I've heard. That's a 15. You can, so if if you're in a place where everyone has Androids and you need a phone charging cord, you don't, right? Your battery doesn't run out.
But it's still built by those reliable Chinese slave labor, I hope.
Oh yeah.
I mean, really, that makes it cheap because
little children with knurled fingers.
I know that Apple's kind of moving its operations a little bit away from China. I don't know exactly how much that's being done, but at one point everybody was saying, "Oh, well, they should build the iPhone here." Except there's like about a dozen tool and die makers in the United States. So maybe Warren Buffett would have. But nobody else would have.
I know the answer to this, but I'm asking it anyway. Have you ever taken an iPhone apart?
The answer, of course, is
Yeah.
I'm afraid that
I have. I've changed batteries.
Really?
Those screws are tiny little screws.
Really?
I can barely see the screws. I don't even know that. I have to feel to make sure that there's a screw there. I can't even see them. So I mean, I think you kind of need children to put them together.
Well,
children have the good eyes and those tiny little fingers. No, dwarfs have bad vision and fat fingers. Come on, Bruce.
Okay. No, we do. You're right. You're right about that. Yeah, I forgot that dwarfs are just good for substitutes for bowling balls. When you ever hear a dwarf bowling? I mean, when I was on the radio, we talked to somebody about dwarf bowling right now, or at the time, and it was so cruel. But that was the era when you could laugh at cruelty. Now you got to be very, very careful about it. And we just see members Chris put on the screen of the Lollipop League.
Well, the thing is, there's two ways to look at the demise of the freak show. Is number one, it's very cruel to put people with disabilities on display as circus attractions.
Number two, what else do they do? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. What would you rather do? Be a circus performer or on welfare? I mean, really.
The famous punchline, what? And give up show business? Right. You and I know that one. Very, very well. So, so meantime, back to the city that doesn't work. Mayor Johnson wants to build these city-run grocery stores. What could possibly go wrong there?
Oh, I
Somebody
can't
brought
wait.
up, are you going to prohibit shoplifting at the city-run grocery stores? What are you going to do? Is it going to be like Mayor Daley and say anybody robbing a city-run grocery store, the police are entitled to shoot to maim? What are you going to do about that?
I think the only people robbing Chicago run institutions are the people at the top. So
sure, right. It's all kept for them. And besides, who, if they have only like wholesome food, like bulgur wheat and whatever, who's going to bother robbing the grocery stores?
Sure.
They're going to.
Well, here's the other thing
they're going
too.
to thumb their nose at that.
I think this is why they're not worried about shoplifting at a Chicago grocery store, is that they believe that if food was offered at a fair price without the need for, making a greedy profit, that
of
people
1%.
Well, no, that's not what that doesn't. It's
do you know what the grocery
CEOs are? Yeah, but the CEOs are making billions of dollars every year, Bruce. So
right, yeah, absolutely. You're
no,
absolutely
I know,
right.
I know you're right. I'm being
no, right.
I'm talking through a liberal. I'm looking at it through a liberal lens here. Is that they believe
you're not
if it was fair in a community grocery store, that there'd be no need to steal.
Right, and we'd all live in communes. Yeah, no, I get
happily,
it. Kumbaya.
Happily.
Yeah, right. It's because where Walmart and Target and all these other stores were unsuccessful, the city of Chicago will be able to step in. What I'm wondering is that, they always talk about these places being food deserts. Are they also, this is just a point of information, are they also people deserts? That they're just not a lot of people? It's not very densely populated anymore in these areas because, you got a lot of husks of buildings there. You got people who fortunately were able to flee. Are there just not that many people around? And is that also one of the reasons that these places are food deserts? Am I right about that, or it's just
no? I don't think you are. The assumption is the deserts. They're deserts because they don't have nutritious food, and that's what people aren't able to get. Nutritious food, and they don't realize that people in those neighborhoods maybe don't want kale.
Absolutely. No, and we've talked about this before. The only people who want kale are what Tom Wolfe called the social X-rays. People who want to be skinny. Poor people want to have their stomachs filled. Because they don't. They don't get to enjoy an evening with Leonard Bernstein in the Black Panthers. They. So they want their burgers and fries, and I'm kind of like with them on that. So no, I understand that but are these people going to be forced to eat this food? What are they? How's this going to work, Mr. Mayor?
Of course, they want to. The Whole Foods was just too expensive, so
the Whole Foods. It wasn't Whole Foods like we see Whole Foods. They had bargain prices on these things, and they probably didn't have the same inventory that you see in Northbrook.
Here's a little secret. A lot of people don't know that Trader Joe's, hipster grocery store, is owned by the same company that owns Aldi.
Okay, all right.
So the hipsters. So it's. I mean, that's a great example of brand management.
Oh, totally.
Is one for the for the working class trying to get a bargain, and the other one is for the people who want the global food, locally grown, blah blah blah.
Right. Well, I guess we've got to go through our Mayor Johnson phase here. But you look at a progressive city like San Francisco, and I love the mayor's name, London Breed.
Is that really a name? It sounds more like something from the Westminster Kennel Club, doesn't it? This is the King Charles Spaniel is a London breed.
Yeah, and she looks like she just got out of the kennel, right? No, she's fine. No, she's fine. But here's the thing: she has proposed that there be drug testing for welfare recipients.
Hey, that's our idea.
Yeah, right. I mean, what are you, Ronald Reagan with the welfare queen stories? You live long enough. I mean, what kind of talk is that? I didn't read the whole story. There's got to be something more to it than that. I don't mandatory drug. So what? I mean, what are you saying, that they need to be on drugs in order to get the welfare? That's otherwise I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Well, the idea is that if you have money for heroin, you got money for food. Okay. It isn't that you're poor. You just have bad resource management. And this is going to be a great boon for people who want to sell their urine. Right. I thought that you had to be on drugs in order to get the welfare, but apparently you're telling me, okay, that makes a little more sense. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Britney Spears dancing with knives. I started playing in the kitchen with knives today. Watch as she spins around her house, twirling the blades. Don't worry, they are not real knives. Halloween is soon, she tells her 42 million followers. But are the knives actually for real? Listen, you can hear the blades scraping together. They sure do seem real. Those knives are definitely not fake, said one concerned fan. This is terrifying, went another.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, poor Britney Spears. How old is she now? About 50, 60 years?
I have no idea, but I'll tell you what, Bruce, I could watch that for hours.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing a good job there, but I feel responsible for those of you not seeing this. I mean, she does looks like she's dancing with knives, like kitchen knives, and has not cut herself, which apparently she's done in the past, hasn't she? But that was more like a suicidal thing, if I'm not mistaken. But
she got her dogs behind her looking really nervous, because I think those are Chinese dogs.
Yeah, there we go. But the thing about Britney Spears is I feel somewhat responsible for the corruption of Britney Spears, because do you remember when she was just 17? You know what I mean? In the movie theaters, before you'd see a movie, you'd be sitting there, and on the big wide screen, Britney Spears would come out strutting in her tight jeans and do a Pepsi commercial. And I mean, this is when people were going to the movies. I mean, how old is she now? It's got to be at least 2 or 3 decades ago, a couple of decades ago that you. And so you'd sit there slack-jawed because, I'm an old man now, but I wasn't young then either. And she was, and you just look at her, and I think just all those eyes ogling her contributed to the corruption of Britney Spears, and I feel guilty about it. And look where she is.
There's really nothing new about that. I mean, you had Brooke Shields, if you remember.
Yeah, I once met Brooke.
Did you really?
Shields.
Brooke Shields posed for Playboy before she was 18.
Yeah,
so
I interviewed Brooke Shields on a show I did on Channel 32. It was called The New 930. She came on our show, and she was absolutely beautiful, and her mother was there. Her mother was there, watching over evering, always there. And I mean, she was very nice. But okay, so
I'm sorry, Mr. Weinstein. She's only 17, so I'm going to have to watch.
Yeah,
make sure.
Yeah. All right. So Tim, tell us. I saw a tweet of yours about and I loved seeing it because I know that you're not that into sports, but you were inspired about the Miami-Denver football game, which the final score was 70-20,
and
in favor of the Dolphins on Sunday.
70-20. It's an amazing score. It's like a WNBA score.
Hi-yo. So like
somebody posted on my link. They said, "Oh, come on. I've never seen 70 points in a WNBA game."
So while we're touting your performances, I understand you have a new album out. Tell us about it, please.
That's right. It's an album I did a few years back. It's finally been released to anywhere you get your music. It's Tim Slagle Bachelorette Party. It's
Oh, okay.
the title track is based on working the clubs and having to deal with the women that come in and the gaggle of women all drunk on sweet little drinks with dirty names and
So I
ruining
mean,
the show.
Is this a comedy album, or is this just a
Yeah,
documentary?
I'm tone deaf. I can't sing. No, it's a comedy album. It's an hour of comedy, hour of my comedy. Some of
Okay.
the stuff will probably be very popular with the audience. Some of the stuff kind of just hangs there. So
Bachelorette Party, and we could get it at
so you can get it anywhere you get your music. You can listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon Music, or you can actually buy a copy on Apple or Amazon. Buy a digital copy so you can have it, so you can listen to it on the plane.
so I don't have to go to. I'm forgetting the names of the music stores that used to exist in Chicago, the record stores.
Are you kidding? My distributor said, I said, when's the CD coming out? And they're going, that's
not
we
what
don't
happens.
we don't
That's not what
do that.
happens.
We don't do that anymore.
So speaking of football, and I know you don't like to talk about it that much, but you brought it up with the Miami-Denver game. The Bears are playing Denver this week. And I was just like hoping that both teams would wear all orange, and so they just look interchangeable because they probably are. I always try to
actually. You could probably put out some highway barrels on the field. It would be interchangeable.
I always try to politicize the NFL because then I think we're justified in talking about it. And there's still the debate over whether Justin Fields is a good quarterback or not. And I think there's an underlying racial element to the whole thing. The virtue signalers want to say that all these sclerotic old mechanical whiteys can't really appreciate Justin Fields, and it's all the bad coaching right now, or it's his receivers, or it's the game plan. But they want to absolve him of any blame, and they're not using him in the proper way. That's and I watch, for some reason, it's the availability on Twitter. I've been watching all these analysts who I've never heard before. There was this one guy. Well, the tweet we're seeing right here is, I'll just go ahead and say it: Justin Fields stinks. But that's White Sox Dave. That's not a former NFL quarterback. Like this guy Tim Jenkins says that apparently I hope I'm representing what he said right. They're giving him a simple offense, which other teams like the Kansas City Chiefs were able to defend against. But what happened? That means something. Why did they give him the simple offense? Because he can't handle the complicated one yet. So, I don't know. Meantime, the Washington Redskins have been sued. Not Redskins, excuse me. The Commanders have been sued. And I believe is that the lawsuit by the people who want to get the name Redskins back?
Yeah,
again?
yeah. There's a coalition of Native American tribes that preferred Redskin to the Commanders.
Right. Well, they don't know what's good for them. And apparently, I didn't realize this. The logo on the Redskins helmet was an actual person, Chief Whitecalf. That was an actual person. It wasn't like what was it?
I thought that was my Indian name when I put shirts on for the first time in the summer.
I thought, remember, was it Iron Eyes Cody for the litter campaign? I may be confusing campaigns here, but it was an Indian.
Actually, he wasn't actually an Indian.
He was Italian.
Iron Eyes was actually his mob name.
Right.
It was like Vinny Iron Eyes Coachatelli.
Yeah, but Chief Whitecalf was actually an Indian who was exploited tremendously by the Washington football team. There's a picture of Iron Eyes Cody, great, with the tear dropping out. So if Iron Eyes Cody, who wasn't really an Indian, married Sasheen Littlefeather, who accepted the Academy Award for Marlon Brando, would all their progeny be entitled to any of the royalties from the name Redskins?
I think their progeny would be named Elizabeth Warren.
Exactly. 132nd Native American. Okay, I'm going to bore you a little bit here. So Brooks Robinson died. Good old number 5, Baltimore Orioles.
I know the name.
Brooks Robinson at all? Yeah, you know the name. Okay, he died. He was the human vacuum cleaner, never made an error at third base, Hall of Famer, sensational player. He died this past week. I'm in the Comiskey Park press box. Opening day, I think it was like 1983. By this time, he's an announcer for the team. He's standing in front of me. He gets some food and some coffee, spills it all over himself. So I go, so much for the human vacuum cleaner. Error 5. But yeah, so Brooks Robinson actually made a mistake, a goof, right in front of me. And, it was a nice guy about it. Do you see where Whoopi Goldberg is now going to be a spokesbeing for Bud Light?
Anyway, is that the Babylon Bee that you just read that from?
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. This is a joke then. I mean, or is that real?
I don't know.
It doesn't. Bud Light appoints Whoopi Goldberg as brand ambassador. Maybe that's a joke. I get nailed by these things. SpaceX mania, right? Thank you for saving me on that one.
Sure.
I was thinking that the reason that they did that was because you'd rather do Dylan Mulvaney than her. So I so wanted to make a joke about it.
Well, it would make no sense because people who drink light beer are usually concerned about their weight.
Right. I mean, so in real time,
that would be like hiring Jared before he started eating sandwiches.
Wait. We started the show where I didn't get the Donald Duck joke for 5 seconds. Okay. Chris Christie. We're ending the show where I actually had to be saved by you thinking that was a real joke, a real promo. Look, I remember when Dan Proft and I hosted the show on WLS, we so wanted to believe the Daily Mail story that men in lieu of exercise could just stare at women at the office for 30 minutes and get their exercise worth. We wanted to believe it.
Or watch that Britney Spears video again.
I mean, you shouldn't do that. You should not look at Britney Spears that way. All right. Another great week. Hey, I can
now. She's middle-aged.
Right. Tim, as
she's
always,
middle-aged now. It's allowed.
What's the name? What's the name of the album again?
Bachelorette Party by Tim Slagle.
And that's a real album, and Whoopi Goldberg heartily endorses it. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.